Hi, this is Sue, and I'm here today for Sew It Online, and we're going to talk about some ways to bust your stash. We're going to find creative ways using the AccuQuilt Go machine, the electric cutter, to use up some of those scraps that you've had at home, things in your stash you've purchased, and you want to use them for fun things. And this is going to be a quick and easy way. You aren't going to believe how quickly you're going to be able to cut and get to your sewing machine. So if you tuned in to the last webinar, I talked about the Go Cutter, and I talked about cutting strips. I showed you the quilt that I made in the front. It's a strip quilt. Normally I would have needed to purchase a jelly roll to put that quilt together. Actually, probably 2 jelly rolls, because I have some plain, a more neutral fabric and a lot of colors that coordinate. By using the AccuQuilt Go 2.5 strip cutter, 2.5-inch strip cutter, I was able to cut multiple strips at a time. You can cut up to 6 layers of fabric on the Go Cutter, and it's a die. It's foam with blades embedded. You line your fabric up on the mat here, or on the die. You put a mat on, and then all you need to do is feed it through the machine. And before you know it, you're going to have 3 strips. 3 times 3 is 9. So with one pass, I could cut 9 strips if I wanted to. Your typical jelly roll is 40 to 42 strips. So 3 passes, 4 passes, you're going to have more than enough to make a quilt that you would normally purchase with a jelly roll. So I have cut my 2.5-inch strips. This is with the fabric. Well, actually, it's maybe a little shorter than with the fabric, but I can do that. I have, this is actually an end cut. I could probably put this through again if I wanted to. So here are my 3 strips, and I'm ready to go if I want to make binding with the 2.5-inch strips. If I'd like to piece them together to make a quilt, I can do that. So I showed you in the past, in our past segment, how if I sew my strips together, and this is just a little segment, I didn't want to show you the big long strips, but typically I would sew 3 with the fabric strips together. I can then go into the cutter and I can lay them down perpendicular to the line they give you. I can put the cutter or the Go mat on top. I can run it through, and I'm going to show you real quickly. And again, I can do more strip segments if I want to. I'm just going to show you with this one because I've already done the project. I really don't need more of these, but I want to show you how that works. So quick as can be, here we go with, now we have these cross cut, and I'll show you where you can see it on here. Now I've cross cut these, and these are 2.5-inch blocks put together. Now, I don't know about you, I've always wanted to make a postage stamp quilt, which is, it would be tiny, tiny squares cut together. And I've always wanted to do that, but I don't really see me spending all that time to do that. So what I did was I put these together. Now I can sew the 3 rows together and make a 9 patch. So here I have an example of what I was able to do. And I'm going to show you, because I showed you, I kind of hinted to you last time that this was the project I wanted to do. I did it in a table runner form. I have a little class that I teach at my quilt store where I work, and it's called Run With Me. And the purpose of it is we make table runners, we try out new blocks, we try out new designs. If you like the way the table runner comes out, then you can run with it and make a whole quilt if you want to. So the cool thing about this is now you can see the 9 patch, and then I put a block next to it. Beauty of that is that, and I'll put this where you can have a look at it. I have my 9 patch right here, and if I take another block, which this is the 4.5, 6.5 inch block, I can put a piece of fabric through up to 6 layers, run them through the go cutter, and I won't do that because you don't need for me to show you how to cut a square, but it would run through the go cutter, and I can get those exact size squares, do up to 6 at a time. So if I cut, say, a 7-inch strip of fabric, folded it over a few times, I can run it through the go cutter and get all of those blocks in minutes as compared to, I don't know, probably at least a half hour to cut all the squares that I would need. So here I have the beginnings of my little vintage looking table runner, or it could be a quilt. I have still plenty of that fabric, so maybe I will take that on and make a quilt, bust that stash. I won't have to look at that fabric. I love it, but I don't want to make anything else with it. I can bust my stash with that. So 4.5 inch block, strip cutter, put the 3 segments together, sew them, and then you just sew them in a row. And as you can see, I added a little bit of a 3, another strip of the 3s. I went all the way, and that formed a border around it. I formed a border here too with those just by sewing the 3 segments together. So that is the strip cutter. Another great thing about the strip cutter is that you can use it for your bindings, and the typical size for a binding is 2.5 inches. You could cut a binding with this these 2.5 inch strips, probably in one pass for a queen size quilt. That would give you 9 segments. So great time saver. Okay, so moving on. We talked a little bit last time, and I told you about this little configuration I have here. I have half square triangles. I have 2.5 inch squares that are sewn together, and then I have a larger block. So what could I do with that? I'll show you the die, and that die is right here, and then I have a little surprise. You saw me cut the fabric in the past, but I want to show you what it looks like. I'm going to surprise you with what's on here, and I'm going to put it through the go. Okay, and I have fabrics layered in here already. And then let's see what kind of little design I can come up with. The toughest thing to do, I think, is to decide what fabric combinations you want to use, because the options are limitless. So here I have a couple of the larger squares, and surprise, I layered some orange on there too. So now I can do my half square triangles. I have some green ones, and so I'm going to do this. Let's do one like this. Oh, look, I have a square here. Look at that. I can go like that, and like that, and then here's another square. So isn't that fun? I can put that all together. Look how quick that went. If I were cutting out all of these, I wonder how much time it would take. I wouldn't even want to time myself. So there we have the die. These are the half square triangles, and notice on the triangles you have little dog ears cut off so that when you put this together and you are running it through your machine with your 1/4 inch piecing foot, it's going to line up really nicely, and then you don't need to cut those off. All very, very accurately cut. Some of the problem, and one of the reasons I decided to do this Run With Me class, and I use the AccuQuilt Go electric cutter for my students that come to the class, is because when you're a new quilter, or if you're an older quilter and you have trouble with your hands, or you're just somebody that doesn't have a lot of time, cutting is a problem. Whether or not you miscut, you can't hold your ruler and your rotary cutter, you have trouble with your wrists, or maybe you're not very experienced with cutting fabrics on a mat to get them accurate. This is very, very accurate. You can't miss with it. So that is how it looks with this particular die. Now I'll show you a little something that I did, because my class is called Run With Me, and they are table runners. This was one that I did. This could be a really cute baby quilt. Could be a very cute little, I could even do a little bag, put a zipper on it if I want to, because maybe you don't like to quilt. Maybe you just, I could put a zipper here, so up the sides I have a little pencil bag or something or a little bag for toys, whatever you want to do. You don't have to make a giant quilt if you're using the AccuQuilt. It's just very convenient for whatever projects you want to do. Now I have this, and this is the table runner, and this is using that same die. And if you look, I have the squares here, the half square triangles. I cut some gray half square triangles, and it's all in the way I laid it out. Then I went to my 2.5-inch strips. I bordered it with those. I bordered it with another color that's within the pattern. And all I did was put right sides together, flipped it, put a little batting in there, and I stitched in the ditch around it and around the border. And it makes a really great table runner. And it didn't take me a lot of time. If I wanted to, and I think this would make a great quilt if I wanted to, but I could also, maybe I want to make a bag and have this pattern on it. Options are limitless. So here we go with half square triangles and squares. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to show you is, and I was fascinated by this pattern, because I always thought this is going to be something for expert quilters, and I just was dying to try it, and then I saw that the AccuQuilt actually had a die for this particular design, so I said, oh, I'm going to go with it. So it's called the Drunkard's Path, which I didn't even know what that was, but I decided, and we'll use this so that you can see what I'm doing. So normally with the Drunkard's Path, it's a circle in a square, or actually a quarter circle in a square. And it's made up of two parts. So you have your corner piece, and then it'll fit like a puzzle right in here. And you have to sew that. And that looks kind of daunting, doesn't it? I bet you this would help you see better. Now, if I were just out in the world of quilting and I didn't know about the AccuQuilt, I would have to literally take my template, and I'm sure they have templates out on the market in this size that you can use. I'd have to trace around it. I'd take my other piece, and I do have this kind of squared off, so it does make my corners easier. I'd have to trace around it, and my fabric's moving while I'm tracing, so it's kind of stretching it a little bit. Don't want it to do that. So here I go. I'm cutting, I'm tracing. Oh, I didn't even get it. So long story short, what's happening is this is kind of difficult, isn't it? Then I'm going to cut it out. Now, granted, I could cut out maybe 3 at a time if I pin my fabrics together. And I have a little point here, little so that I am going to be able to match it up. So there's my one part. That looks pretty good, doesn't it? Then, and I did put it on the corner. That did help me. It saved me a little bit of time. But now I'm going to cut this. And I think I'm pretty good at cutting things out. I could do it with a rotary cutter, but in a template, maybe that would work. If I have trouble cutting with a rotary cutter, that's not going to help me much, is it? So here I go. I'm cutting, cutting, cutting. And these are smaller pieces too. So if I wanted to make a real scrappy looking quilt using the Drunkard's Path, I could do that. I could use a lot of different scraps. I find myself having a lot of little pieces, you know, 6-inch pieces left over from quilts and things. So now I have that, right? Here it is. This is what I want it to look like when it's sewed. All right, those are my pieces. All right, so you can see I really spent a lot of time cutting these out. Cardboard. I'm sure there are nicer templates than my little cardboard ones. With the go, it took about, I don't know, this is with the fabric folded into quarters, it's probably 12 inches. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put this piece right here, and I have 4 layers. I'm going to put it on my die, and look at that. I'm not only going to cut one, I'm going to cut 2 at a time, and I'm going to cut both parts. So let's lay our fabric on here. We're going to put our mat on, and some people have asked, why do I tilt the mat a little bit on top? It just keeps your mat from wearing out. You can see this is kind of worn. If I keep tilting it, it's going to, because there are blades in there, it's going to kind of prolong the life of my mat. So I'm going to put this through the machine. And this is round 1. I'm going to slide my mat off. I'm going to pull out my little pieces. Here are my rounds. Here are my squares. And from time to time, you might have a little thread that doesn't quite cut. There's a little tool that you can get in. It's almost like a little dentist tool that from time to time little threads will get in between these dies. You can use that little tool. AccuQuilt makes a little tool, and you can pull out your little pieces that get in, and that's why it's not cut, you know, why you might have a thread that doesn't cut. So there's one piece. Now I want to have, let's make a nice little cool pile here. Now I want to do, it's kind of like a positive, negative, kind of a yin and a yang kind of look here. So I'm going to put my fabric on there. I'm going to feed it through. So far I have enough for 8 blocks if I were going to reconstruct them. So with 2 passes of this Drunkard's Path, I'm going to have enough to make 16 squares. And I probably should have done that a little neater when I took it off so that I could keep my piles. But, oh, that's not too bad. Okay, still have some more. If I wanted to run it through again, I could. And now I have my darks. So I have a light and a dark. I could have 2 different prints. If I wanted to fussy cut something, like if I wanted to fussy cut a rose and put it in this part, I could. If I wanted to stack my fabrics up, it would be certainly faster than doing it with the template and a rotary cutter. I can just place it right on the die, right in here. However I want to do that, however I want it to look. And this is the way this die looks. It's going to make a 4-inch block when it's finished, and with 1 pass, so you're going to make 4 blocks. since I have a dark and a light, I'm going to put them together. Okay. Let's take maybe a light and a dark. I can put that together. And I don't know if you've ever gone online looking at patterns for drunkards' paths. There are just a multitude of different arrangements. You can make a circle and a square. You can make something that looks like a flower with it. Just virtually all kinds of different designs. So here we have it. So here we have it. So I bet you're wondering, this looks like a real pain to sew, doesn't it? Well, I'm not going to sew it for you here today, but I'm going to show you what I did to sew it. Some people like to sew theirs straight from one edge to the other. Now the fun thing about this too is it gives you a little notch where you're going to want to center your curve, and there's concave, convex, I guess is what you would call it. And what you want to do is you want this, and this is on the bias, so it'll stretch for you a little bit. You want to stretch the curve, or stretch what is this, convex? Concave. You want to stretch the concave part to fit around the part of the circle. Okay, so what I do is I kind of stretch it like this, put it on under my sewing machine, and I sew to the pin. Then when I do it, I like to turn it over and do the other side. Okay, and of course we would put right sides together as opposed to what I just did. Oh, I guess this one doesn't matter. So at any rate, that's how I do it. Let me show you what it looks like when it's sewn. So it's going to look like, this is what it's going to look like when I sew it. This is the other side of it. So I sewed in one direction this way, and then I flipped it over and I sewed in that direction. When I open it up to the right side, here's what I get. And I get this nice curve, no clipping, I don't have to worry about it. And then depending on how I'm placing my blocks, I can either press in to the circle or I can press out of the circle depending on how I'm piecing my squares. Okay, so since we have our little class called Run With Me, you wanted to try this and you just wanted to make a table runner, I have one for you. This is kind of a positive negative where I used 3 different fabrics, actually 4 if you count the border, and this was all done, did all of these at one time, all of the print, did all of the darker purple at one time and all of the lighter purple at one time. Sewed them together, and here is where you determine whether or not you're going to press in or out. This one I pressed in, this one I pressed out on the opposite side. Then I don't have a big bulky place where I put my seams together. And then here we go, back to our 2.5 inch strip cutter, cut some 2.5 inch strips here, pieced it together, enveloped it, so I just put right sides together with some batting, sewed it up, flipped it, and then I just quilted in the ditch around the circles, and I did a little top stitching around the outside, and there I have a really great table mat. It would make a really fun placemat if you wanted to make a square one, make a fabulous quilt if you wanted to make a whole quilt with that. And if you look up online, and also AccuQuilt, I'm sure has some examples of Drunkard's Path in their Quilt in a Day book. You can come up with a multitude of designs just by rearranging your circles. I mean, look at that. There are all kinds of different, you can do a flower pattern. That's really fun there too. So when you, as I said earlier, when I was talking about, well, maybe you just want to make a little zipper pouch or something for someone. Maybe you want to make a little bag. Maybe you want to make a placemat. You don't have to always make a giant quilt to enjoy yourself sewing. Maybe you just want a little project in the afternoon. Maybe you want to make a little mug rug with this. Perfect size. Just sew it together, put some batting in there, and there you have it. They could all fit together on your table, and you could just pass those out like that. Something that I've been wanting to make for a while, because I take classes outside of our store. I like to go to my mom's house and sew with her. I need a bag for my projects. And have you ever tried to move your quilting mat, your cutting mat, from the car with all your other stuff in your sewing machine? It's a big pain. So I thought, I'm going to make myself a mat bag. So what I did was, I wanted to do a nice design. I used the Drunkard's Path. I picked two fabrics that I really liked, and this is another arrangement of the, here's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I assembled 4 at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another set, another set, another set. Sewed all 4 sets together, and then I bordered it out. I think probably in this instance my border's a little bit bigger than 2.5 inches, because I wanted to make it so it would fit this nice size mat. Put on some handles. There's the back. I put a little fusible batting inside. I just straight quilted the back. And here I have a great bag. I can put my mat in it. I can put anything I need to sew. If I want to take my mat out and I want to go to a show and tell at a guild or at a sewing club, I can put my finished quilt in here, and it's a really nice look. So you don't have to make quilts to use the AccuQuilt. You can make bags, you can make table accessories, wall hangings, anything that you like, you can do it with the AccuQuilt. So I hope this has been helpful for you today, and I've really enjoyed talking to you, and we'll do some more cutting in the future. So I'll see you next time.
Okay, we should be live again. And we are, like I said, we had some technical difficulties here where the internet went down at about 7:58. So I had to skip the beginning. But I do have Sue here live to answer all of your questions. So I know a lot came in. We tried to respond. But if you would like to just send them in again, then Sue will be answering the questions. As you're sending those in, I want to tell you about the link. There's a link on there where you can view the webinar specials. So I'm going to show you the specials that they have for the AccuQuilt. But more importantly, I promised that I would do another sale on my webinar membership through the summer. So I decided to do a lifetime membership this summer, which a lot of people have got, and it's pretty exciting. But I usually do it for $197, and everyone knows that I'm eventually going to move this to a monthly fee. So by getting the webinar membership, you never will have to pay the monthly fee. So what I'm doing today through Sunday at 9 p.m. is I'm doing the webinar even cheaper than $197. I'm doing it for $147. So for $147, you never miss a webinar again. Anytime you watch it, it goes in the membership site. You can watch it anytime on any device whenever you want. So if you see something that you like now, well, you can go back to it 6 months from now or next week, anytime you want. You can watch it unlimited amounts of times on any device. And right now we have 18 webinars total. We do about 2 webinars every month, sometimes more. And then I'm going to be adding embroidery designs and then plus step-by-step projects. So the link is at sewItonline.com. You can click the link that should be on your screen right now. That'll take you to my website to see the deals. Once again, send in those questions. But I wanted to also tell you about the different AccuQuilt Go packages. So I did this once before, and I was sort of blown away because we had like 15 people go and go all in to get an AccuQuilt, which was like amazing. But I was like completely out of stock, and it was pretty fun. But this big cube starter pack, which like I think like 9 people bought last time, I thought it was the biggest deal ever. But my manager Terry said I needed to wait till this week to do it because they were going on sale again. So this product last time was 1900 something, and I thought it was a great deal. And this is for the electric cutter, all the companion sets, and the mix and match blocks. Plus, you get a lot of different rulers and a cutting mat and so on, and some different strips, which is really cool. So this is basically a gotta have it everything package, and it's usually about $2,400, and they have it less than $1,800. So that's on sale through Sunday as well. It's really cool. This is something that is, if you want to get it all, a lot of people get the less ones and then buy more as the times goes on. If you want to have it all so you're there to get started, then it's perfect. Now, we also have this one. So there's a lot of different packages for a lot of different people. The Go Big Fabric 9-inch block starter pack is usually $857, and it's $769.96. We have a question. Can you mix fabrics types when cutting, or should you do them separately?
I don't see any reason why you can't mix fabric types as long as you're not mixing real heavy ones with light. If they're similar fabrics, I think it would be okay. I wouldn't see a problem with it. I wouldn't put something sheer with denim, but if it's got some polyester or some polyester blends, or I think you could probably cut that with cotton just fine. Just remember, they recommend no more than 6 layers if you're cutting cottons. So, if it's a similar weight fabric, I think you'll be fine with mixing them.
Okay, we also have the Crank 9-inch starter pack, which is the 9-inch mix and match block, the strip cutter, and it's a great package with rulers and everything. This one's only $514, usually $607 on sale. So these are great. We have one more question from Marcia.
Okay. Do the 2-inch strip cutter go in the Baby Go? No, unfortunately, it does not. It will go in the Go Big, which is the medium, the middle cutter. It'll go in the Go Big Electric, but it will not fit in the smaller Go Baby. Unfortunately, maybe at some point they'll design one that will. But not right now, no.
Sometimes that's the problem when you go with the really small AccuQuilt compared to the bigger Go and the Go Electric, is that they don't have some things that they have a lot of more options that go for the 2 bigger ones and not the smaller ones. But the small one is still pretty cool too, but most people end up going or upgrading. And then this is actually the Go Electric cutter. It retails at $499. Just so I want to know, because it is a lot, $700 or $1,700. It's a lot of money. So I want to explain. This is just an electric cutter without the accessories. And then if you add those accessories on, it really gets expensive. Same with this one, which is only $249, which is great, and you can get started with this for $249. So you don't have to spend a lot to really get going with this. But you're going to have add-ons later, so it's perfect good. We have 2 questions to answer.
See a question from Marcia. Marcia, you can put the die that has the half square triangles, the 2.5-inch square and the 4.5-inch square. You can put that through the Baby Go. So that's the smallest one. That will go through it. So yeah, sure, you can do that on all 3 of the sizes. And in a future webinar, someone's asking if I could show you a project with the other size. Sure, I could show you how the other 2 sizes, the Go
big and the Go Baby work as well. So I would be happy to.
Well, she wants to know if we can use the other cutters, the scan and cut. So they are pretty much different products because I've thought about this a lot. And this is what they're the two most interested products that I get feedback on. So I'm going to focus on them both, but I will totally make another webinar, or it just might be a YouTube video comparing the AccuQuilt to the scan and cut for you. It's a great idea. I could do that with Sue and Wendy together. And I've thought about it before, and we want to do other videos comparing products and reviewing things for you. So it might not be a webinar. It might just be like a public YouTube video, but I'll definitely do that.
Okay. Somebody is asking about, they would like to see the details for the $1,700 package.
Okay, let me get through these two, then I'll go back. So the AccuQuilt, it comes with the Quilts in a Day by Eleanor Burns, which is awesome. And then as my own bonus, as I'm throwing in, just like I did last time, the Spring and Fall Embroidery Go Applique collection in there.
And for those of you that don't know what that applique collection is, there are dies that go along with the applique embroidery pack, and I have used them. They're very, very fun. You cut out your shape, you load your design onto your USB stick, put it in your machine. All you need to do is decide where you want to put that placement stitch. You lay down your little cut bird or your little cut umbrella or pumpkin, and then you just tacks it down, and it gives you a great embroidery stitch around it. So that I have personally used it, and I actually made ugly Christmas sweaters with the snowflakes. So it was very, very fun. So that's something that you might enjoy.
So the Go Big Cube Starter Pack is like the ultimate starter package to AccuQuilt. So we have the Go Cube Mix and Match blocks, the 6-inch, the 8-inch, the 9-inch, the 12-inch. And then the Go Cube Companion sets, which is a 6-inch, the 8-inch, the 9-inch, and 12-inch. Plus we have the specialty set, Serpentipity, which is that just comes in certain packages. And we have the 2.5 strip cutter. You get a massive 10-inch by 24-inch cutter cutting mat. You get the Cube Mix and Match blocks and quilt pattern book by Eleanor Burns, which I already mentioned. Quilting ruler, that's just a 12 by 12 ruler. Quilting ruler, that's 6 by 24. And a rotary cutting mat, that's 18 by 24. A rotary cutting mat, that's 24 by 26. Rotary cutter, and then of course you're going to get the big electric Go cutter and the Flying Geese 3.5 by 6.5 inch. So it's basically everything that you were going to buy in the future. So if you don't want to spend all that money up front, you can get the Go Electric for $500 and then add them in as time goes on, but you're going to end up spending $2,400 easily. So if you want to save yourself $600, $650-ish and buy things you're going to get later on, this is a great package. Or you can add on one by one. It works either way. But this package is actually, me personally, I think this is a mistake because AccuQuilt's never done this before, and it's too cheap. It's $17.84. So I did it tonight because it's what they told me I could do, and it's fine. But last time it was the rare that they did this for $1,900, and I've never saw it like that before. So to me, it's a great deal. But like I said, anybody that's on here, you totally do not have to get something this big in the start, but if you're one of those people who think you're going to want it all, it's a great way to save some money, and it's awesome.
And Connor, I wanted to tell them a little bit about the companion set classics. You're probably wondering what those are. Each of the cube sizes, the 6, the 8, the 9, and the 12-inch cubes, which they come with enough dies to make 82 or 84, I believe, different blocks. Those come in the cubes. The companion set classics are additional dies that will mix in with your, if you get a 6-inch companion, it'll mix in with your 6-inch cube, and that will even extend your patterns further, and it'll add a little interest to, besides just your half square triangles or your squares. But that's another way to stretch out those cubes, and you'll get even more options with those. So I think that those are a great option. You know, give you a lot more variety. So enjoy that.
We always want to remind you, if you have questions over this phone number at the top leads directly to me. So if you have questions or logging into your membership or different things, just call this number and you can see everything that we have going on, and you can talk to me and I'll be able to answer all your questions. This is the membership site. So you can see in here all the different webinars that we have. There's just serging and quilting and cutting and basics, and everything that we've done is in here if you ever want to watch any of our past webinars. And we're adding 2 a month for a long time, and we're going to be adding in embroidery designs and so on. Janine, there is shipping on that for the large set. If you set it up and the shipping's too much, it should calculate it correctly. Just depends on where you are. Call me tomorrow at that number on the top, and I'll get you an exact shipping quote and everything. But so this is the membership site. Like I said, memberships are $50 off tonight. I don't think I'm ever going to do another discount more than $197 on this, or $147. Deborah, of course, you can pick up at the store. Anybody that's local, I want you to come to the store. I love seeing you, and it's just, it's more important that you come pick it up from us. But I'm going to tell you right now, there's already been 3 different people that bought, and the webinar is not even over. So the chances of us having it in stock is I'm going to have to order more. So just come in and play with it in the store, see how you like it, and then we'll go there. So back to the webinar membership. I'll probably never do it again at $147, but $197 is what I'm going to keep it at until I'm ready to go to the monthly. And then monthly, you're going to get probably like embroidery designs monthly and a project, and there's going to be a lot more things that I'm adding to this membership site. But right now I'm focusing on filming our courses and getting this the best possible and getting everyone taken care of and filming YouTube videos. So that's all coming. But I'm going to promise you, this webinar membership, there's going to be a very small amount of you that have a lifetime membership. So if you already purchased it, you have it, and you're great. There will be so many people that have a monthly membership. You're saving yourselves hundreds of dollars by going on a lifetime membership. Judy, I will be at Mayfield first thing in the morning. I'll be at Middleburg by 11. I'll be there all day. And we have them up there. You can come and play with it, see exactly what you want. I'd love to see you. So yeah, back to the webinar membership. Like I said, it's a monthly. It's going to be monthly eventually when I'm ready and all there. But I'm not there yet. So that's why I'm offering lifetime. And most of the people in here have been with me since the beginning. This is going to be a lot bigger with a lot more people on these webinars, so I don't mind taking care of you. And I honestly just appreciate all the support. It's really inspiring and awesome, the online community that we've built. So,
and I want to just say I'm really appreciating hearing from those of you that have problems with your hands and your shoulders, just like the testimonials about how it has made your sewing and your quilting more enjoyable. And I'm really happy that you can enjoy your love of sewing that way without having to stress yourself out trying to cut. Somebody mentioned that the crank one is very easy to crank, and you can use the Go Big crank version, and you can turn that handle with 2 fingers. So that just about anybody can be able to use that one. So very happy to hear that you've enjoyed it. Maybe something about a future webinar as well, as I'd like to show you using an AccuQuilt die with a shape and using the embroidery designs that accompany that also, because I think that that would be really something that would maybe shed more light on how you could use it within your machine embroidery as well. So that's something that I hope will be coming up in the near future. So it sounds like a fun thing to me. And this is very fun for me to talk to you live, and I appreciate all your kind words, and thank you for listening to me.
All right, we are going to close this down. Thank you, everybody. It's been a really fun time. Sorry about the technical difficulties in the beginning, but luckily we got through them. We weren't too late, and hopefully I'll see some of you tomorrow, and we will see you soon.